Good.
Welcome to Drawing Hive.
All right. Hi, everybody. If you're here to draw, you're in the right place. Just a reminder that Drawing Hive is brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. And just a reminder what Visual Arts Passage is. We're an online education program. We offer resources and mentorships to people that want to develop careers in illustration, biz dev, and the fine arts world. So if you have interest, check us out. I think we do a really good job of it. So thank you all for being here. It's going to be a fun night. We are drawing Black Mirror tonight, the series. I got some really fun reference. Kristen Milioti,
There you go.
Will Poulter, Paul Giamatti, who's, I think, just a phenomenally good actor.
His
So good.
episode's amazing.
Yeah, and that is a killer piece of reference. This
Yeah.
Great.
is beautiful. And Peter Capaldi, the Italian Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, my people.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing, you can
Yeah.
choose to do one or all. We're going to be doing 3 poses, 2 20-minute poses, and then 1 40-minute pose. You can do them in whatever order you want to do them in. I suggest if you're trying to develop yourself, you're trying to really up your game in drawing, do several of them. It just, it's like more's better when you're drawing.
Mhm.
And it's an opportunity. It's not about, I mean, there's a bunch of good drawers in here and that do great things very quickly, but this is about push-ups and sit-ups and getting better. So thank you all for being here, and I think we're ready to draw.
Yeah, let's draw. So if this is your first time joining us, you're supposed to draw with us. So please draw and share your work. We're going to check out all the art at the end of the night. If you want to share your work and it be featured on the show, post it to Instagram, and just in the captions, use hashtag Drawing Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive 247. That's episode 247, and add Visual Arts Passage. You just got to have a public account and you'll be set. So let's get drawing.
Yeah, so I kind of said this before we got started. This is one of those nights I'm not going to be here. I'm going to take off. I'm actually going to a high school reunion tonight.
Oh,
What
wow.
is that? Is that a which
It's-
year is it, John? The
Do you want to say? That's the real
30th,
question.
30th,
Well, I wish.
40th, 40th, 50th? Not 50th. It
I
couldn't
got to
be
think
50th.
about it. I was in high school. I graduated high school, and it would be the 48th. So I graduated high school in 1979. So
Wow.
is that right? 48, 49,
I don't know. Somebody could do the math.
45. I don't know.
Math is not my specialty.
Yeah.
It's a big
Uh,
one. Not a lot of math people in the crowd.
As it's been this long, this
Yeah.
is for a group of people here in Kansas City that a lot of us missed our official high school reunion, which was like
Yeah.
a year ago, and it keeps getting stretched out. I've never been able to make one, so I'm actually going to try to do it tonight, and I'm looking forward to see some people that I haven't seen in a very long time.
So it's going to be the Cassandra and Timmy show tonight.
Well, I'm
It's
gonna
going to be fun.
tell everybody pay very close attention to Cassandra.
I thought you were going to say Timmy.
No, don't listen to Timmy at all.
Yeah.
Listen to Timmy about our program and
Yeah.
technology and what's going on in the world. He understands things really, really well. If you want to see somebody that can really draw and has a great process, look at Cassandra's work.
I think this should be the night that Timmy draws alone. He's had a lot of experience listening.
Someone the other, well, it was Christopher, the model, goes, we were doing some voice chats with each other the other night. We should just do a phone call, but we send each other voice messages. And he was like, have you ever thought about how if you had just started drawing on that first episode,
Yeah,
you'd
you
have like you'd be like you'd be like an experienced artist
You
by
would. You'd
now.
be really good.
You'd have like 5 years, a stack of drawings.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you maybe start picking up some work.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I didn't think about that, but thank you.
Like, and I
Yeah,
still don't want to think about it.
yeah.
Cassandra, I've watched you draw with these, but I've never watched you like start. I'm always doing something. That looks fabulous. Looks really fun to play with those things.
Yeah, like I haven't used it on anything else. I use it on stone paper and it lets me really smudge it and play with it and it dries really fast. So it's already dry after I lay it down a silhouette. So it lets me just kind of mess with it a whole lot.
Okay, so the name of the markers, tell everybody.
Grabby markers.
Grab
We're gonna edit that
Yeah.
out. We're gonna edit that out. No free rides at Drawing Hive. No. Gravy, send the check.
Right? Or
Yeah,
send me
no.
more markers because
Yeah,
like
Just send more markers, please.
I need more.
Cassandra's like, hey, I'm not going to get my check.
No, Cassandra, if they send you more, tell them we'll do a raffle with Drawing Knife people.
Oh, I will. I need to reach out to them and tell them
Yeah.
they're running out and I'm using them a lot. Also, I want to see if I can get like a discount code or something. I gotta talk
Yeah.
to them.
Do they move at all once they've dried? I mean, can you lift them up with anything? Can you erase?
No, but what's great is you can just work right on top of them. So the
Wow.
minute this dries, I can go lighter, like here, this is light up here. It'll take light color and then you can blend it.
Wow. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Here,
They're really
I'm
fun to play with. Like I did Frida Kahlo the other day because I went to her exhibit. So that was just fun to draw her from a famous photograph. So
Phenomenal.
yeah. So I love playing with them. I think it's they sent them to me for free and I honestly didn't know how they were going to be, but now that I've played with them, I genuinely think they're super fun.
Fantastic.
And all I want is just them to send me some more.
Everyone, the chat is open. Be sure to toggle it to everyone when you just do panelists, which I'll be honest, most people just do host and panelists. It just looks like we're talking to no one. So let us know where you're tuning in from and what materials you're using tonight, especially if you're using Grabby, which I don't know why, but we're just selling the hell out of Grabby.
Yeah, they just yeah,
Which
they're
you know
just
what?
really
I
great.
dig it. They're small, right? They're like they're not small, but like
Yeah, yeah.
they're micro business. They're not like some like gigantic, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Their technique is just to contact people in, that do art on social media and just be like, hey,
Yeah,
can I send you these? And you just try them out and then tell us what you think. Artify was like that too, and I really liked
yeah,
their brushes. Um, this company didn't send me this for free. It's the stone paper, but I
yeah.
gotta tell you, I'm in love with it. It's no wood is used, like 40% water. It's recycled stone. Like it's just really cool. So it's got a way better like green footprint too.
Did we talk about how I don't understand how stone paper is made?
Hey,
Mm-mm.
before you get
Yeah.
into that, Cassandra, thank you so much for doing this. Timmy, thank you. I apologize.
Yeah.
I have to leave, but you're in good.
Yeah. Take it easy. You're in good hands.
I'm
There's
gonna
two of
go see
you.
some friends from 45 years ago. See you
Yeah.
Hey,
later.
have
Yeah.
fun, John.
I
You
will.
barely
Sounds
miss
great.
anything. Have a great time.
See
All
ya.
right. All
Bye.
right. And then there were two. Um no, so I don't know when did they reach out to you, Cassandra?
Who, Grabby?
Yeah.
Like last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the pitch? Were they just like, we're gonna send you some markers?
They're just like, can we send you markers? And
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm an art supply nut. I just think it's fun
Hmm.
try different stuff out. So I said sure, and they were like, cool. If you can just like try them, and if you like them, make a video, that'd be awesome. And you know,
Yeah.
easy. I just did a drawing hive night and then used that.
Yeah. Um, I looked into that with like micro influencers,
Mm-hmm.
which has become like the new like hot marketing thing. And there are like companies that if I were an artist, I would 100% if you just want to get some free stuff,
Yeah.
um, there are a couple like platforms. It wasn't a good fit for us because it just didn't feel authentic and it just doesn't fit with what we do because what we do is so personal and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a pack of markers, right? But
Right.
like if you have more than like 1,000 followers, you can totally qualify for them. And it's basically like a trade out where you basically create an account. One of the companies called Social Cat. Um, they were a terrible fit for us, but I could see how it would be great if you were like a painter and you
Mm.
just want to get some free gear. So like obviously if you have like 60,000 followers, like you should get paid to promote
Right.
this. But like if you have, like that sub, I would say like 30, I think 30 or 20 is like the turning point where you can monetize what like your content and also determines by like engagement too. Like your posts have good engagement.
Yeah, I think I have
Like,
better engagement than follower. But like,
yeah.
for me, it's just fun. If I make it too much about
Mhm.
money and it's just not fun for
But
me.
yeah, so like you create an account as a creator. It's pretty simple. It basically just like what you would do is like you share the content that you've created to promote something. And
Mm-hmm.
then other brands that are like Grabby Marker, which I bet they use something like that. Um, basically just reach out and they're like, we'll send you all this stuff. All you got to do is like post a story about
Oh,
it.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good It doesn't work for us because
No, 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 it doesn't match art school vibe, but
no,
just trying out art supplies,
yeah,
that's the stuff that for me is just
yeah.
fun.
I created an account. It's as a business, it's very expensive to participate in. And I did a trial and it's like a couple $100 a month. And I did like a trial and immediately like by like the fifth person that does like makeup tutorials said that they'd be a good fit for our company. I was just like, this isn't
Hmm.
gonna work. Like, but yeah, I would check it out. Social Cat or like this is actually a better recommendation. Type in because I didn't really care much for them in
Uh-huh.
particular. I would type in Social Cat alternatives and go with whatever one is the best ranking one. I would not endorse Social Cat specifically. I just know they're the ones like pounding the pavement right now. Um,
I'm gonna like ask you what you said later because I'll like hear you and be like, that sounds like a great idea. And then later I'll be like, what was it? Something
I mean, yeah,
cat
it's not really like it's not like this is not a business idea. This is just like get
for
some free,
fun.
get some free stuff, right? You
Yeah.
know, how nice would that be?
Yeah. That's all like honestly, that was my goal. I was like, I just want some free art supplies to play with because I I just like making art and just an excuse to get to play with stuff.
I can't resist a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could do trade outs like that. But like I don't know, influencer culture is the oh
Yeah, I don't want to be an
oh
influencer. I don't want to do any of that. I just honestly just wanted free art supplies.
yeah.
Because like I don't always have the money to try out the supplies that I want to try. So
Mhm.
I got kids. Kids need new shoes and things like
I
that.
was just gonna say kids just consume money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the springtime like for a gallery painter? Is this a busy time? Are there like a lot of shows happening right now? Or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah.
in two group shows that open tomorrow, and then I have my mini museum solo that opens next week.
What is a
So
mini museum show? Is it the mini pieces? that we talked
Yeah,
about the other
yeah.
week?
So Robert Lang Studios has this little nook. It's like, I don't know, like 3 feet, 3 feet wide, and
Mhm.
by like 2 feet. I don't know. It's just this fun nook in the wall, and they just thought it'd be funny to turn it into a museum where diorama. So they have little people and little velvet ropes and everything, so it looks like a
So cool.
museum. And they were just like, they just wanted a little art for it, and so I was like, y'all, could I do a thing? And they were like, yeah, 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 you do it. Like I've been working with them for a while, so they're always game for whatever idea. So. Um, yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do those little rosettes. So I did a bunch of those and I had a ball doing that.
What did you get to see other work that was submitted to it? Or like have you seen
Oh yeah,
anyone
yeah.
else submit?
There's always a rolling, it's literally a show that opens having the mini museum. So every month, like there's tons of artists that want to do it because it's just so fun and it's not a huge commitment having to do something for the mini museum.
Yeah, it's
But
mini.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
so it was perfect for me. Uh, yeah, so that opens. So yeah, so it's like 3 shows within this 2 weeks, and then I'm then gonna run a gauntlet of shows that all open in June. I have, do I have one in May? I can't remember. Oh, well, the mini solo opens in May, and then I have like four and an illustration to do for June before my
Mhm.
kids finish their school year. So super
Here's
busy.
a question that we're definitely going to clip this and you're going to email it to Grabby and you're going to be like, you guys owe me so much. Cassandra, could you please share a little bit about your process using the Grabbies? I have some on the way because they look so fun to work with.
Oh, totally.
That Grabby,
Yes.
just so you know, that is a direct conversion sale from Drawing Hive. Conversions. That's a return on ad spend, people.
You got fancy talk there, Timmy.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what we say in the
so
biz.
these are acrylic markers. They sent me 2 sets. They sent me dual tones and then they sent me these acrylic fine tips. These have like a lot more paint will come out of these when you shake them up. So I love to use these to lay it down. And I think the best way they work for me is to put out a bunch of color and then I blend it with my finger. So like, okay, he's got this orange shirt. So you can do this and it can dry like that, but if you do a little bit more and you smudge it, you can make it go a little farther. So I like to use my finger just to move it around a bit more. And I can block in because I'm all about silhouette, as John likes to say. So I'm laying out my silhouette and I can blend and then you can just layer on top of it. You can start to figure out your midtones. You can figure out, well, this is really the midtone. You can figure out your darks, your lights. All of that can go on top because they can layer. But yeah, they're just fun because alcohol markers, once you put it down, you're kind of stuck with that. But here, I think what I like so much is they are forgiving that you can
Mhm.
change it up if you don't like it. So I know that this is going to get darker, darker. I would like to have square cardboard by to try things out. See, so I can start to figure out his sleeve. But because I know I can always go over top of this, I I don't have to worry about making sure everything's perfect. Because like if I go off over here like I did that, just come over here and cover it up. So I just like that nothing has to be set. Everything can be adjustable.
Nice. It,
So
it is crazy how fast it just looks fast.
yeah, yeah. So I like to work with acrylic paint. But everything takes me longer because it takes a while to dry. You've got to mix all the colors. And
Yeah.
so here I can use these to make the color I want. I will say I can never get, besides the black, a good dark dark. And
Yeah.
the browns are a little pastel-y, so it's not a perfect solution, but I'm still really happy with what I can get from it. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's cool. And for nights like this where you just want to play, you want to have time to draw,
Mhm.
I like what I can get from it.
Um, is there an aesthetic or skill that you don't have or maybe don't put your energy into that like you would love to have in making images? Does that
Yeah,
question
I
make sense?
yeah, I think I would love to work on being an alla prima painter. So alla prima is like we saw Kai doing that. That's with
Right.
oil painting, and that's really where you mix the perfect color and you lay it down, and it's all about um, painting all at once. And so I think it's really cool. I don't have experience with it.
Hmm.
I've done a little dabbling, but I would love to, when I ever get a chance, to take the time out to learn more. But there's lots of skills I can always get.
Sure. But it's kind of like, I mean, I always think about it. It's like every illustrator that I meet, it seems like, well, not every illustrator, but like everybody in our program that like isn't teaching illustration, like it feels like they started out in fine arts and then fine arts started out in illustration.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it's just kind of this like, this goalpost that's moving. And um, I don't know. I feel like you always find that with like when I was in college, I did cross country, and it's like every cross country player wanted to be a basketball player, like
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well,
there's
the
like
grass is always
envy,
greener, right?
whatever art envy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grass is always greener for sure. Yeah. They do look really fun. I might order some grabbies.
Man.
Yeah, that's fun. We're not gonna sell any classes tonight. The semester started on Saturday, so like the ball is rolling. Classes are going. We're not like trying to, it's not like the NPR fund week, so the stakes are low tonight.
And super chill. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got questions, like
Yeah, please
chat
keep
with
that.
us because I'm
Please keep the questions heavy tonight, because if not, I am just going to talk about you know what I'll do? If people don't ask enough questions, I will spoil the last episode of The Last of Us. That's my threat. If there aren't enough questions, we're going to start doing spoilers. Um,
Are you watching Hacks?
no, I'm not. I
Okay.
loved it. I loved it, but I think I am too much of a comedy nerd,
I was wondering if it like
and it started to bug me.
mm,
Yeah, because it felt it's tough. It's actually not an account against the show, really. I was thinking about it just the other night, Cassandra. So it's a good show. The actors are great. I think everybody on it is very funny. But for those of you who don't know, I work with a lot of comedians as a hobby, right? So I edit, and I've gotten to meet some pretty good ones. It's not like I'm working with like open mic comedians, but I was thinking the other night about how fast media changes now, right?
mm-hmm.
And how quickly that affects art, right? And how quickly things in the comedy world that were cool or interesting even just like 3 years ago are now kind of an eye roll, right? The one being like a one-man show or one-person show presented as a comedy special, but it's really like a trauma discussion, or like and I'm not saying that's bad. It's maybe when it's packaged as a um when it's packaged as a comedy special, and it's really just more of like an artful dramatic monologue in a way.
Mm.
Neil Brennan does this. um, Hassan Minaj, Dave Chappelle still had premises and punchlines, but he kind of did it where it wasn't like a traditional comedy special. And that for a while was really edgy. It was like, whoa, this person's being like truly honest, other than Hassan Minaj. But this person's being really honest, and it's kind of, especially like you look at Neil Brennan, which I feel like he didn't really kick the door down on that, but to me, he was the first one where I was like, wow. And but like somebody said Mike Birbiglia, but Mike Birbiglia still had like joke, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was like, but yeah, his Mike Birbiglia is good, yeah, that definitely fits. But now, if you were to do that as a comedian, everybody would just they just roll their eyes. They're just like, come on, like that's not a comedy. It's something else. Please don't call it a comedy special, I guess. And I thought it was weird that like, so the way that Hacks worked was by the third season, that's kind of the direction your protagonist takes. And it's just a matter of how fast media moves because you're like, well, they wrote that when it was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
it was at the cutting edge, when it was important. And then by the time the show is produced and the show comes out, it was so corny, right? Of like, let me be real with you guys. But anyway, I do think all the actors, everybody on is very funny, but I just couldn't.
I'm not in it, so I don't have to think about that stuff, but I think it's funny. Yeah.
I think my big issue is I over well, I'm an English major. I was a lit major, so I like to I enjoy crit, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
analyzing a show and like analyzing what you're consuming and thinking like, is this, I don't know, what, not that it has to have a purpose or a statement, but just like if it is presenting itself as like truly artful, like should you not, like, like, and the Hacks is a bad example because I think Hacks is just fun, like,
Yeah.
so just enjoy it, right? But but then there are shows where I'm like, I don't know, yeah. um but yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum. Hacks is a beloved show, and you know and it's
Oh,
not,
by the way,
I have some of the worst takes on some of the most popular shows right now.
um, well, at least we agree on the studio.
Yeah,
Which we
agree on
still
the
have to
studio.
make a drawing hive week.
Well, yeah, so we're saving two things. We're saving The Last of Us in the studio for, we're waiting for the week where we feel like it's starting to have a crescendo in pop culture.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, the studio and The Last of Us are going to be on the chopping block soon.
well, we can do the Henry or the Tudor one show. That would be a great costume drama night.
I had to cough. It's not that I was not into the Tudor episode idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be a good one. Costume nights are always killer.
Adam will show up for that. Adam is into it too.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we'll have some late entries tonight, but if not, we're gonna get through this, Cassandra.
As I as I roughly draw Paul Giamatti.
Well, if you want, what this is what happened. If we get to a critical moment, I'll start drawing.
Yeah.
And you know what will happen?
Hmm.
Everybody will drop out of the school this week. It will be a
That
complete,
is so not true.
the VAP stock will collapse.
No, everyone will talk about how they should have shown up the week that Timmy finally drew.
Um, I have drawn when and not talked about it. I have. I'll post some of my drawings that I've drawn during Drawing Hive that I never shared or said I was drawing.
Where did you post it? Because
No, I never posted it.
I was gonna say, I was like, did you posted it? And I missed
No, I
it.
would never. I would never. John would be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
No, he wouldn't. He would be
John
so
would
excited that you finally
John
drew.
would 100% be like, Do you think it's a good idea as the part founder of this art school that you're posting your first
I disagree.
drawings?
I think you should post and we can have a bet on John's reaction.
Yeah. Somebody asked, which I'm glad there's a question because boy, I was about to spoil I will spoil the last. I will do it, people. This is my threat on questions tonight. Um, have you ever used textiles to paint on or something else less traditional? I know you use cardboard a lot.
Uh, Textile. I mean, canvas is technically a textile, so yes, but not anything professionally to sell. But I've definitely played with, yeah, any material I can get my hands on, so definitely yes.
Um, I'll be quick about this question because I don't want to do a full sales pitch, but somebody said, should I consider signing up for a class with Visual Arts Passage if I am not trying to start a career in art illustration? Um, I think that's a personal question on how important it is to you to continue to make images that, like I would imagine like I have art hobby like I have hobbies that are associated with the arts or like in creative fields, and I often hit walls, especially I do a lot of editing, and I hit walls where I'm like, "Ugh, this just isn't as fulfilling because I feel like I'm not like hitting a marker, or I'm not like tapping into an emotion or like creating a feeling that I want to with this. And I want to be better at it because when I'm better at it, it's more fulfilling. And I feel like if it's a hobby or if it's a side gig, I do feel like fulfillment is probably like king or queen. Um, that's kind of my thought. We have some workshops I think that would definitely be worth checking out, or even like actually today I posted a bunch of on-demand stuff. If you go to the homepage of our website, just scroll to the bottom. That's probably a good way to like figure it out, because I get that. That is definitely if you don't want to have a career in it, it just depends. I would say this, if you want to be better at it, it's gonna make you better.
Yeah, like if you want to, it's very much self-driven.
Yeah.
So if you want an opportunity to be around a lot of people that are doing a lot of work and are focused. It fuels creativity and inspiration, and it's good critiques, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of really nice discussion time. Like if that's something that's enjoyable to you, then yeah, you're gonna have a great time. If
Hmm.
not wanting to do a lot of work and have someone look at you what you're working on, then then maybe one of those off like those smaller short week classes that you were talking about, like doing the figure drawing with John, that would be a really great one to do. That's really fun and will boost.
Yeah, I didn't. I should have said that. The figure drawing workshop is actually a great one because it's like it's not that expensive. Um,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
that one's going to be
I think the
fun.
value on everything is probably the best value anywhere, but I think the figure drawing one is like it allows you to dip your toes into the VAP network. And also it's honestly that class, it's funny because that's not like the hottest class that we offer, but figure drawing is kind of the heart and soul of like what we've always like with the Illustration Academy, and with which the Illustration Academy, for you to use you those of you who don't know, is very much it's the inciting incident for Visual Arts Passage. It's what led to what we do here. And so um yeah, John, it's not a meet up and draw like this. It really is. He's passing on some golden wisdom on just how to get better at drawing the figure. Um,
Mhm.
which which
And
you know,
I got to tell you, I got a lot of this. Like I've always been drawing, but a lot of those things that I do now is because of the way that John and people at Illustration Academy taught me how to do figure drawing. They taught me about the silhouettes and focusing on shape first and then bringing in value. Like all of those things are what got me there. So I recommend it for sure.
I know we talk about the Illustration Academy all the time, but like, whenever we talk about it, we're always like, it was that, it's like, it's very like hollowed ground, right?
Hmm.
And I'm just curious, especially because John's not here. Was it really like a turning point for you, or like, was it
Yeah, yeah, because
truly?
yeah, I mean, I was doing art school, so it's not like I wasn't learning skill, but it was the first time I was around a bunch of professional artists who made their living purely from art. And like that it was a side gig teaching in the summer
Yeah.
at the Illustration Academy. That was like the first time that I met artists that did that. And then, to have like Mark English and C.F. Payne and Gary Kelly and John showing you the work they've done for all major magazines and then showing you how they got there, like that really showed me the business of being an artist and that it is realistic to get a career doing it. So it made me think about better about more techniques that I should be learning
Mhm.
and what I needed to do to get better. Yeah, it's kind of a wake-up call for me.
Yeah.
I was
It's really
terrified at first too when I started.
it's really funny because there are workshops that I've heard about in the photography world where like all of the best photographers I know, there was a photography workshop that like every great photographer I know who came up in the early aughts like attended it, and it was very much like the Illustration Academy. And it's just so funny that like that it's totally like Malcolm Gladwell, like no coincidence, right?
Yeah,
Like it's just you were lucky enough to find out that thing existed.
yeah, yeah. Like it gave me an opportunity to also ask tough questions to artists that were really doing it. I never
Yeah.
had that opportunity that way. Like, I mean, I was really lucky. I actually had Sterling Henley as his first year as a teacher, and he was phenomenal. He walked in and he was just like, he treated it like it was a job, an illustration job, and he was our art director. So he gave us a really realistic look at how that rolls, and I'm very, very appreciative to him for that. But my first round at Illustration Academy was before I had him, so it was
Was
just
Sterling only like a couple years older than you, or is he?
yeah, yeah.
So he was like so Sterling Hunley is an amazing illustrator. For those of you who don't know, I'll drop his name in the chat,
I
or
feel
maybe
like
somebody
he's
could do it for me.
6 years older, maybe
Okay.
than me, but
So that's cool. That's cool though, because so you're getting like really contemporary perspective.
yeah, yeah. And so it was really helpful because he was talking about, the jobs he was getting, and you're watching him like in the midst of all these major jobs as well as being like a professor. So it was really,
Yeah.
really great having him too. But
Mhm.
yeah, like talking with John and Brent and Mark and all of them, it was just really, it definitely made a difference for me. And then we all went to Icon together. So how cool is it to go to Icon, which is like the illustration conference? And that's
Mhm.
when I met like Gregory Sanchez and I got to ask him tough questions and he was just like happy to answer them. And
Mhm.
like he was the one where I was like, I'm sorry, you don't know me, but I'm kind of freaking out. I'm about to graduate. Like, what do you do? And I asked the question that I hear asked to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have an answer because I remember asking this question. But I was like, what do you do once you graduate art school? Like, I don't understand where you go. And he was just
Yeah.
like, it's just real simple. First off, you don't stop being an artist, you just keep making art, and then
Yeah.
you figure out the rest as you go.
It's Yeah, it's that's a really funny thing. Well, before I add to that, let's move on to the second post, second image. Please post your work. Post it now. It's hashtag drawing hive, hashtag drawing hive 247, and add visual arts passage. Post it to Instagram, put that in your caption. As long as your account is public, we're probably gonna see it. But if not, join our Discord server. I'll drop a link in the chat. The Discord, it's just fun. The Discord server is great. I love it. That's how we actually met Kai, which is wild.
So cool.
It's so funny. I was like, I sent a screenshot to Ray and I was like, who the hell is this guy posting these amazing paintings? Yeah.
And
Um,
Ray knows everybody, so he can tell
and
you
Ray was like,
everything.
oh yeah, no, I know him. I was on a Zoom call with him one time for a meeting for a thing, and yeah. No, what were you saying about art school and like what do you do after art school?
Hmm.
It's kind of funny because like I went to when I went to college, I had a really terrible college experience. I went to a school that didn't treat its students very well. I was a bad on top of it, I was a bad student. And I was in a like a literary program where I was very unliked. Um,
Oh.
but I ended up finding like one teacher that like loved me. He was the creative writing. His name is John McDonald at University of Portland. Um, and he just totally took me under his wing and was just like, he just thought it was funny, I think. But I remember my first lit class, a teacher was like, raise your hand if you're a student athlete. And I don't know, like a quarter, maybe not, probably like a fifth, like three or four kids raise their hands. And he just goes, I hate athletes.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and I can't, that's the only word I remember because it was just it was so strong, you know. I don't remember
Hmm.
what else he said or like why. I just remember him saying hate and just being like, geez, like, oh my God. Like, and then immediately just being like, I don't like this guy. Like, what a
Hmm.
ridiculous. Um, and and so I was like bitter. And I think if I could go back in time, I would have dropped out, right? Like I
Hmm.
would have just been like, this is not a good fit. But when I got out of school, and when I was there's so much of like youth where you want to do something and you're doing the exact opposite. You're not doing anything to get to it. You know what I mean? But like you know what you want to do, but you're just not doing it. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Totally.
and then as soon as you get older, you're like, why was I not just doing what I wanted to do? Why didn't I just? And the answer is because you were kind of scared. For me,
It's
at least,
terrifying.
you're
Yeah.
like, it's scary. And but as soon as you get older, you're just like, oh, obviously I should have just done it.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
um, and I wanted like when I was in school, I had two things. I enjoyed writing, like I enjoyed comedy a lot. I always enjoyed comedy, and I loved photography, and I was doing nothing to propel me towards those things. And when I got out of school, it was really funny because I was just like, I mean, it wasn't funny. It was terrible. I was just like, I was adrift at sea. Like I had like not studied anything to assist me in developing a career in commercial photography or photography in general. I knew nothing about like picture making, which everything you guys worry about in picture making is the exact same in photography.
Hmm.
Um,
Makes
I
sense.
mean, it's a picture, just telling a story with a picture. It gets consumed by the same eyeballs, right? And and it was interesting that like you just had to start doing it. Like which I ended up choosing not to after about 10 years because I learned what it was like to work with ad agencies and I spent a lot of time working with ad agencies and like pretty high level photography, but like it was actually really amazing like how little like actual school in the photography world school was. I will say this, and I don't know that it's true for illustration. And when I say school, I'm talking about accredited
Institutions.
institution that costs expensive, fancy art schools, right, for photography. And I'm not talking specifically about drawing and painting. Um, but when I called so many studios and I finally got into a studio and I got to work on a lot of stuff, and I got to work with a lot of really talented people. And I started to learn that there were people like me reaching out every month. There were like 20 people would be like, I want to work at a studio. I just graduated from this art school and in photography. And I started to learn this is so funny. It's so counterintuitive in the photography world. And I can only speak from my experience at the studio I was at, which was a studio that worked on international campaigns out of Dubai, China, South Africa, national campaigns in the United States. You know, we photographed Ronaldo, like literally like all the famous people. If you reached out and said, I want to be a photographer, the fancier the photography school you went to, the fancier the art school you went to, the less likely they were to consider you.
Really? Why?
There was so much baggage with it. And then I think it was just years of bad experiences with students from those schools.
Hmm.
So it's a true testament to you represent your school in a way that is tremendous. Meaning, if you know, there's this art school in Kansas City that I know basically every studio I ever worked with, which most of them in here, if you're from that school, they will not hire you because there were so many bad experiences from I'm talking about the photo department that they just were like, they're not good. And it wasn't a matter of skill. It's funny. Skill was never the issue because I guess the irony of it is I entered the field with no skill, right?
Mm-hmm. But
And
you were more teachable because
I think I was more teachable and I think I was more grateful because I felt like so astonished that I was allowed to be there, right?
mm-hmm.
And so there was a disbelief of that. And so I was terrified that I was going to get asked to not be there anymore. Um, the number one things were just literally, it was just like showing up on time and not acting entitled. I mean, it was such simple things, like the easy stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
but I guess the bummer is that like I know this school that I said like, you know, they didn't hire anybody from it. It's like, you know, a lot of talented people come from it, but you just know that it only takes like truly, it probably only takes one person to like wreck the reputation of that and just be
Right.
like, you know, yeah. But anyway, I kind of rambled on that, but what were you were talking about after school? And it's just like, I do think it's just like, if you want to do it, just do it, which is such an easy,
Well, I needed
it's
to, I
such a
knew
simplification of it. Sorry.
when I got out of school, I came to a quick realization, and I think that Illustration Academy was a good wake-up call for me. I wasn't ready. I didn't feel
Yeah.
ready for the art field, so I needed to figure out a way that gave me the opportunity to get better so then I could do it. Like I knew it was my dream and I was gonna pursue it. I just had to figure out a
Yeah.
path that made more sense for me.
This is funny. Someone said I had an interviewer say that if she was giving you a chance to interview you, you better have a pen because you walked into an interview. It basically they're just like, you got to have a pen in this interview. And if you don't have a pen, that means you're like, whatever, not qualified. That's crazy. I don't agree with that. But I mean, yeah, everybody has their like silly interview. I do think like interviews are there have been a lot of studies on like job interviews and that there's no correlation with how well a job interview goes and how well the person performs. Have you ever heard that?
Mm-mm.
So they say that interviewing a person for a job almost has no correlation with the performance that person will do at the job. And um, Malcolm Gladwell um, articulates this in
I love his books.
yeah, this is in revisionist history.
Okay.
He explains that they decided to basically present their interviewee with logical problems opposed to interview questions.
Mm-hmm.
to basically see if they're able to come to logical, like very like logical conclusions, or at least teachable moments. And their question was entirely based on what type of washing machine do you use and why? So
So something you wouldn't consider important
certainly not.
gives them insight into the way that you may
Yeah.
think.
So, and I'll butcher it. I might say this completely backwards, but I think it will express the idea of it, which is a top load washing machine is less efficient and does a poorer job cleaning clothing, right? So, top load, it uses more water, and it doesn't actually clean the clothing as well as a front load washing machine, right?
I so prefer top load though.
Okay. All right, you would not get a job,
No,
Emma.
I wouldn't. He would
So,
not give
so
me
they
a
would
job.
ask you, what type of washing machine do you use? And it didn't matter what type you used. So if you said top load, that's okay. That doesn't mean you're not getting the job, right?
They would just be disappointed in me.
No, 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 no. They would say why.
Oh, I have a great answer too.
Let's hear it. Would you persuade Malcolm Gladwell to hide you anyway?
Oh, I
Hire
would
you
just
anyway?
persuade him why my opinion is valid.
Okay, so they would say why, and you would
Oh,
maybe why. Okay,
because
maybe start with why. Let's just pretend I'm Malcolm Gladwell.
okay,
Like,
okay.
okay, why?
Because I like to felt, and you gotta you can use a washing machine to do good felting, and top load's the way to go. You
What
can't
is felting? Felting.
felting. Oh, it's so fun. Wool shrinks in hot water, right? So you can felt things. You can like crochet or knit something, or
Uh-huh.
you can felt it, shaping it with needles and then put it in hot water, and it like fuses all the fibers. So you can make cool stuff. And having a top load washer where you can check in on it a bunch to see whether or not
Oh, because
it's
you can't check in on a front load because the water is
correct. You can't stop it, y'all. That water's in there, it stays in there.
Cassandra. I think you would be the one exception. I
It
think
was
you would be the one exception
like
where
I
it's like it
genuinely
has
have a
a
legit opinion of why I why I
you have a
prefer.
legitimate reason for your personal instance, because they would say, like, somebody would say, well, I use top load, and they'd be like, why? And they'd be like, do you have a personal, like, they basically be like, is it because somebody gave it to you, or is it because you have a personal opinion, like you selected it? And it's like, if you have a personal opinion, then they would say, well, do you know that it's like much less efficient, and it actually does a poorer job cleaning clothing? And then they would see how you react to that information, right?
Hmm.
And if you just continued to come up with excuses, but I think that your explanation outweighs the the like the the lack of efficiency, which is it has a secondary purpose,
Yeah, it
right?
has a purpose that I don't even felt that much, but I feel strongly about why I like it.
That's very funny. It's just funny that, like, yeah, I don't know, because I kind of agree with it in that I don't know how much you can learn about a person when you have this, like, very, like, false setting of, like, everybody's like, it's like, what are your biggest faults? It's like, what, like, just
Right. Or even the
like
waiter test is so well known by this point that they're going to be nice to the wait staff if that's like, a way that they tell if
yeah,
someone's good.
yeah, front load leaking, but it's like, you got a warranty. I'm reading the chat. um, but yeah, no, I think that's actually, I'm actually shocked. I think that you would have gotten hired. But then like, there are tests where it's like, it's stupid. Like, Bill Gates used to talk about, like, Microsoft's hiring interview question, which was, they would propose, like, these questions that were like, they felt like scholastic, like kid facts,
Hmm.
where it's just like, that has nothing to do, like, this is not showcasing talent. Which one of them was, why is a manhole cover circular?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question.
Think about it. Everybody, think about it. Please, if you know the answer, don't enter it in the chat. Like, if you know it because you, like, read it. But everybody think about it. Why is a manhole cover circular?
Are you gonna tell me?
I
Like,
will, I will, I will. Someone said easier to move, roll around. That's not it, but that's a good question.
because pipes are round?
Pipes are round. That's a good guess, but no. Someone said humans are cylindrical. That's a hilarious guess.
I love that.
I would hire you in a second, Michelle. These test tube babies. No, it's because, and somebody got it. Darren got it. And Lydia also got it. It cannot fall in on itself because people work in these environments, and if a manhole, like if the cover of a manhole could fall through, it could seriously hurt someone.
Oh yeah, because they're heavy.
And any other shape could fall through other than a circle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so that's fun and everything, but I don't think that that's a good interview question, right? Because
Right.
it's just like one of those things where it's like, it's a fact that once you learn it, you're just like, oh, cool. Now I
Right.
know that fact.
So yeah, you would just have the right answer.
You just have the right answer. It doesn't really show like reasoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
It maybe that would be a good question for like if you were, you know what? If I was hiring for like Los Angeles like murder detective,
That's the technical term.
that's yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's the title. I I would so I'd be like, yeah, you're lead murder detective. Because that is like that's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like what's more interesting is if you have an opportunity to see if someone's inquisitive, ask good questions, and then also an opportunity to see how they react if you tell them they're wrong.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure the Malcolm Gladwell thing, which is like seeing how they respond to incorrect, like,
Because we're all going to have moments where we're incorrect. Like that
yeah.
we don't know everything. We are not as we're not capable of knowing everything. So if you're going to work for somebody where there's potential for learning and changes, knowing
Mhm.
that like you can say, "Oh, you're right. I didn't have that right." Like I think it's a good quality in people.
Yeah. How do you think, like, we posted like a meme of like, I talk about the memes now every week,
Ha ha
which I don't like.
ha
And,
ha ha.
and I think, and I was thinking about it this week. We got to stop calling it social media. It's not social. There's nothing social about it. It's just me. It's just media now. But the meme of like Walton Goggins reacting to the story of his friend,
Oh,
and
E-Man
he's just
thought that
like,
was so funny.
yeah, I know. I was actually really excited that E-Man responded. I was like, hell yeah, I got E-Man
You
to
know, if you
laugh.
got an E-Man response, like you
Yeah, I was
did
like,
it.
all right. I saw that and I was like, yes, one over E-Man. But I love that like Walton Goggins is just like nodding his head. Like, yeah, he's just like taking it in and just like trying his best to just like completely avoid conflict.
Yeah.
And do you I feel I shouldn't even start with a question. I feel like a person that I have to like work. I don't like conflict, but I have to work to control what I say to avoid conflict. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Oh, totally. Uh-huh.
Right? And so that that scene is like very funny, but when you're in the creative world where everything is so incredibly subjective, do you,
Mhm.
especially in like galleries, do you come into that where you just kind of have to nod your head often?
Well, yeah, there's going to be people that don't like my work and they're totally allowed to not like my work. So,
Yeah.
you will hear stuff and you'll be like, okay, well, thank goodness there's all this other great stuff. And you just try to let it not like be a thing that you think too much about.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, yeah, especially when it comes to like just being like, no, you need to like my work. I mean, that's
Well,
a
and
tough
sometimes it's just really
that's a tough
funny that they
battle.
don't like my work.
Yeah.
Like I told you that time, I was in a museum show. Like I was so excited because I'm a museum
Mhm.
geek. So I finally made it into like a Virginia artist show at a museum. and they like went all out to have this cool reception for the artists. And I met the curator of the museum, and they had a guest curator curate the artist into the show, so they didn't have control over who got in. And it was in that moment I realized she definitely would not have invited me in if she had known, because she was like, "Oh, which piece is yours?" And I told her which piece, and she just kind of blinked, and she just goes, "Well, some people seem to really enjoy it." And I
What?
was like, I started laughing so hard. I was like, "Isn't it great? Art's for everybody." And my mom was next
Art's
to
for
me.
everybody.
And my mom and I would just like smiled as she walked away. And I
Yeah.
was laughing so hard I was crying, because I was like, she was trying so hard to A, not lie, which I appreciate, but she definitely did not like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Getting a bad,
that was funny.
it's really tough because I went a really long time without getting feedback is so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel this? Do you feel like to take in the good, you have to accept the bad
Uh,
with
it,
feedback?
I think it's understanding what is good feedback to take in and letting the bad be kind of dismissed. Well, sometimes you kind of have to let the person feel like they've been heard,
Yeah.
and then find a way to work around it.
Okay.
Because I think there's times where you don't have control over um, what
Yeah.
you can say no to, right?
Yeah. I this might end up in the vault. So I told you about so I worked on a documentary. I edited the whole thing and it
Which you
went
still
out.
have to send me.
I will send it to you. I'm to be totally honest, Cassandra, I haven't sent it to you because I'm nervous to send it to you.
Why?
Yeah, I don't want you to see it. I don't know. I'll send it to you. But um so I edited this documentary. It's a short doc, so it's 30 minutes long, and it's about it's very technical about comedy. So it's about the joke writing process. And I did the 30-minute documentary and the trailer for that documentary. And um two things happened that were like really I thought very funny. First, the the comedy editor for the New York Times watched it. Okay. And basically, I personally was like, I don't think critics are have a tremendous relevance anymore. Um, and so we were not submitting it to critics, but this critic got a hold of it, right? And they drafted a response by text that I read and was just like, fine, whatever. This feels like really highbrow and not in touch with actual comedy and quite out of touch with what is interesting. And basically it was just like it felt very like Ivory Tower ish,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and then the 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 thing went out. The thing is that this thing is like out on the internet and it's viewable now, and it very much did the rounds on like podcasts and on the internet, and a lot of people have seen it, and it entered the manosphere, right? So the Rogany, Theo
Oh,
Vaughn,
because I was like
Theo,
the manosphere, and then you started saying, "Oh, got it." Uh-huh.
okay, it's like Theo Vaughn, um, many of the people who are now for some reason in charge of geopolitics. But anyway, it that brought a huge audience to it, and so and I'm not commenting on that at all, but the comments on it were very direct, very, very extremely direct. The most harsh and the most extreme versions of endorsement and like, and like whatever the hate, right?
Oh,
Right? No. And I much preferred the just like really simple one word, the one word summaries of what they thought that were negative of the video versus the like the like 500 word description from the New York
Oh,
Times.
well, that's like the death of a thousand cuts, right? Just
It was
reading this.
totally that way. And I was just like, I was immediately just like, you know what? I know this guy that wrote it on the comment section of this like private YouTube link. I know this guy's a terrible person and they shouldn't be allowed to write things on the internet, but that hurt way less than the New York Times guy.
Oh, well, because you respect New York Times.
Mm.
Well,
But
you
no,
got
no,
excited when Christopher the model wrote an article for them.
that was New Yorker.
Oh, New Yorker. Sorry, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. And and I'm also just like clout chasing Cassandra. I'm just clout chasing. Uh, but no, you're right. I can't that's a double-edged sword. But no, there was something about presenting it as an actual intelligent opinion and then but yeah, if you want to look it up, go to Mark Norman's YouTube channel and you'll see some hilariously bad, stupid takes on it. But yeah, anyways, someone asked, how is Christopher the model these days? He's doing well. He's happy. He's
He's still in California?
he's
Or did
still
he
in
finish
California.
walking across?
So he's on a pause. As of right now, in the past couple weeks, he's on a pause for the walk across America. Um, which but yeah, Christopher the model is he's still as handsome as he was when he was the Christopher the model, and he's doing great.
His feet are just a little more gnarly.
Yeah, his feet are super gnarly. We were actually we were talking about the documentary last night. Before I go on that, everybody, we're moving on to the third and final pose. Please post your work. It's hashtag drawing hive, drawing hive 247, and hashtag and at visual arts passage. Post that to Instagram, and we're gonna check it out at the end of the night. Um, no, last night we were. He was asking about the documentary, and he was like, "What documentary would you like to do?" And I was like, "I love street jokes." Um, Are you familiar with street jokes? The idea, like the premise of what a street joke is
Oh
for
yeah,
folks.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Okay. So these you don't know, street joke is a term for a joke that is everybody knows it as a guy walks into a bar, a horse walks into a bar, a fly walks into a bar, or so and so. It's a joke that is structured like that. So it's fiction, but an important element of it, I think, is that you don't really know who wrote it. Like you don't know the origin. So they don't really work for stand-up comedy. They're just kind of like I don't know, they're so silly and funny and a lot of them are really divisive and I was like, man, I would love to do a documentary about street jokes and like who writes them? Like
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I've never met a person that wrote a street joke.
They feel
And
so like old, like one that's always started somewhere else and developed along the way.
yeah, and the best ones are the only documentary that I know that is about a street joke is called The Aristocrats. Have you ever heard of that doc?
I have heard of that.
It's a great documentary. It is not for the faint of heart. It's um, you know, for those of you who don't know, like Bob Saget is a big part of it, and he was one of like the dirtiest stand-up comedians
Which
ever.
is just so funny.
It's so funny.
Danny Tanner.
Yeah. But yeah, the aristocrats is like the one, but like you're just like, who wrote this? Like who did it for the first time? Yeah, I don't know. But we were sending audio like voice recordings of each other doing street jokes. Um, and it's kind of a fun like like competition, you know?
Well, it's got to be funny because you don't know how many are in your head until you're forced to excavate them. Like,
I would say this. I am I have enough that I could go an entire night and just do them nonstop.
what?
I can do them nonstop. Yeah. I, it's like my only skill. And this is the most frustrating thing ever. When I do it, we had some people over and I was just because the second I do it, I love it because I just like love experiencing the street joke again. Like I get like a high from it. It's so much fun.
Mhm.
And people will be like, "Oh my God, that's so funny. You need to try stand up." And I'm like, "This is not that's not stand up. You can't, it's not, I didn't write it. It's not, I'm just repeating what I read, what like I heard a bartender say like 5 years ago, you know? But
But
yeah.
that's kind of comedy light. That's kind of where it starts for a lot of people, you know, of
Some of them though, all you got to say is all you just got to hit the main points. You don't have to really actually work on them at all. You know,
hmm
it's 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 probably pretty similar to drawing and painting, which is like it's shape design, right?
hmm
Like you just as long as you hit the main points, that's a good joke. Um, clean. Someone asked, let's hear one. I only know one. I only know one clean street joke.
Then bring it. Do that one.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
All right. We've got time. This is the Cassandra and
It's
Timmy
like
show.
this Cassandra and Timmy show today.
Can people say if they want to hear my one clean street joke? And because I don't want to do this, I really would not like to do this if people don't want to hear me do the street joke.
I
All right.
definitely want.
All right. And now let me allow me 1 minute to make sure in my head that it is drawing hive safe. I have to I have to mentally go for it and just be like, you gotta be like, all right, yeah. No, every point of it is pretty good. And I'm gonna be so embarrassed if I totally miss it. Okay. I'm gonna do an abbreviated version, so I'm not gonna be really detailed, but all right, so um this man and his wife, they're at home. His wife is 8 months pregnant. She is at the peak of all of the things that are being pregnant, which is she, is constantly having these cravings. And one of the cravings that she's constantly having is escargot. She loves escargot. And she's like, honey, please go out. And it's late at night. It's like, well, it's not late, but it's around like 9 o'clock. And she's like, please go out and just get some escargot. It's a really weird thing she wants, but he knows like, it's been tougher. I'm going to go do it. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to go. And she's like, please do not stop at the bar. I know the bar is on the way there. Do not stop there. Just come back. I want to have the escargot. I don't want to have to wait after like wait for you having drinks and stuff with your friends. So the guy's like, all right, fine, honey, I'll go. So he walks and he goes and he gets the escargot and he's walking back and his buddies are at the bar on the like he's walking down the sidewalk on the way home and his buddies are like, come on, man, come on, Jeff, like just have one drink, right? And he's like, I really shouldn't, I can't. And they're like, just one's not gonna hurt. So he goes in and he has one drink becomes two drinks become three, and then he's around 5 drinks. He's like, I gotta get home. His phone has been ringing. He's not answering it, and he's got this box that's full of snails, right? Full of escargot, and he's walking down the sidewalk, and he's he's getting to the front steps of his house, and right when he hits the steps, the front door swings open. And it scares him so much, he trips and he falls, and this box flies in the air, and these snails just kind of land all over the porch. And his wife is like, where have you been? And he just goes, come on, guys, just a little further. Do you get it? Is that a pity laugh?
Like, is that in reference to the snails?
Yeah, the snails, they're moving slow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm never telling a street joke in a Zoom room. That's brutal.
Look, because I laughed and you can't hear everybody else laugh.
I think you gave me a pity laugh.
I did not give you a pity laugh. I was more picturing it, and then because I've been pregnant, was getting mad at the husband.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's walking them home. He's walking the snails home. That's where his
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't have any other ones. Sorry, everybody. I don't have any good
I
clean
have
ones.
other ones too.
I do have one more, but I'm not going to do it because the whole joke, it's an anti-joke. And anti-jokes, you got to be so good at doing an anti-joke. Like where the joke is that it's if anybody wants to watch a great anti-joke, just Google Norm Macdonald on like any late night set where he was like on the panel and he would just drag out a joke as long as possible and it would have the dumbest punchline.
I do. Norm Macdonald was hilarious.
He was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we're on our last pose. Someone said they call them shaggy dog stories. I've never heard of that. Shaggy dog story. That's fun. I love this one, Cassandra. It's the color palette on it is really exciting.
I'm making a mess of it right now.
I think it's fun though.
Yeah, that's the thing about like you can't they don't have the colors you want. So I think it forces me out of my comfort zone to think differently about how can I capture what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Good for me and tough for me.
Gianna just popped her head in my office and said, "You need to give me credit." I heard that street joke from Gianna.
Well done, Gianna. Well
Yeah.
done.
It's the only street joke she's ever been able to do. She had to
Is
like,
that why that's like the clean one you know? Is because it came
yeah,
from
totally.
Gianna?
100%. 100%. I know one. Yeah. The only other one I know that's clean is just like not, I don't know. It's just too long. It's way too long. We would be here and then I would be like, okay, now let's look at some art. Yeah.
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
But I mean it does bring up a good question that some you were asked like you're spending so much time with comedians. Does it make you less interested in yourself ever doing stand up because you see the work, or does it, make you
Um,
curious?
that's a really good question because when I was a little kid, I if there was any art form that just like entranced me, it was stand-up comedy. I was like obsessed with it, right? And there was a time where I was really, I think, sad that I never took that route. And now I've become very grateful for having the opportunity to work with and meet with some of the people who are at the highest level in that world, where they have like they're doing like theater tours, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like theaters. That's insane. Theaters, that's 2000 seats, like
It's like a
1500, 2000
whole
seats.
nother level.
Yeah, yeah, and they're going like multiple city like and I've learned how I want to be like respectful in this. I've learned how focused on yourself you have to be
Hmm.
to make that a reality. And I've also learned just how unbalanced your life has to be for that. And I don't envy it in any way. I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, it's a
yeah,
tough schedule, just
I think that goes though for like a lot of careers that are like really difficult like that, like that are
or
like
just performance
because
performative.
like in the visual arts world, I don't believe that. I don't believe
Mm-mm.
that that is true for illustration or fine arts or like working with galleries. I don't
Like you can
believe,
have some tight deadlines, but in general, there's
yeah,
way more flexibility and to make things work.
yeah, but I can't speak for like I can only speak for like the small collection of people that I've worked with, but I've just noticed that there have been tremendous, for the most part, there have been tremendous sacrifices. There are comedians that are like maybe you'd call them like middle class
Mhm.
that maybe have relatively balanced lives, but they have they have no security. And I honestly I can't imagine that's a tough thing long term. It's you can scrape by when you're young, but it's hard, I think, as you get older. So I feel very like I was actually, I'm glad you asked that. I was thinking about that like literally like last month. I was like, man,
Huh.
I'm so glad that I had this opportunity because it would have been kind of a stone unturned, you know?
Like a thing you always wondered about.
Yeah, it would have been like a stone unturned of just being like, I just wouldn't know. And and I think certain people have it in them and certain people don't. I don't think it's a matter of, I don't buy the like Jerry Seinfeld would always say like either you have it or you don't. And I think that that is like the dumbest take ever. Like
Don't
I
hold back.
I don't believe that like you're either born with it or not, you know. I do think maybe there's a certain level of it, but like I've learned this. The comedians I know are not the funniest people I know by a mile. The funniest people I know are not comedians. Like, so like this idea of like you're just like funny, and I would imagine that that goes with a lot of arts, like where it's just like I don't know.
Well, I mean, like you'd always
Is it
mentioned.
boring that we're talking about comedy so much? I don't want to.
No, 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 this is
Yeah,
great. I mean, you'd always mention that like Ted Kinsella is one of the funniest people you know. Like that's
by
immediately
a
what I
mile.
thought of.
Yeah, Ted Kinsella. Um, Funniest person I've ever met, truly the funniest person. His name is Alex Lesson. He works the concierge at the French Hotel in Philadelphia, and he is by a mile the funniest person. He's funnier than anyone on television. He is the happiest guy ever, and I like I bothered him so much to try to get him to do comedy. Um, and he's just doesn't want to. But he's so much funnier than anybody I've ever spent time with. Like hanging out with him is like participating in a Broadway show. Like
So he just like lights things up, just fun.
yes, yeah, yeah. He's an absolute blast.
I was just listening to the New York Times interview. Do you listen to that
Sometimes
podcast? They just interviewed Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze's amazing.
Yeah, and
He's
so like
great.
hearing him talk about it, and he was, talking about how like he feels like there's only so much more time he wants to do stand up because he wants to step aside and let somebody else have a turn, and
I
what,
love that.
and that there needs to be more of that, and if he thinks there should be more of that when he was working his way up, then he needs to do that. Like it was just a really interesting conversation about the life as of a comedian, and then also being a clean comedian, and like was that
Yeah.
harder, and I just thought it was a fun conversation.
Totally. Yeah, I mean it's I think you probably run into this like in most art worlds, but like I've gotten but I didn't listen to that interview, but I did hear about that he said that. And there is a generation of comedians that will not let go of like they won't send the ladder back down.
Yeah,
And the only reason I'm going to continue to talk about this because I think it has a very strong bridge to the visual
to
arts world.
what we do here.
So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Which is like sending the ladder back down. So I'm trying to I'm trying to bridge the gap here. But um I mean, I don't know. I find it interesting that like I've crossed paths with I've crossed paths with two individuals who have made an amount of money in in a single year that is unfathomable, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more money than anyone I've ever known has made in their whole lives. They made in a single year, right? And they one of them I know commissioned an artist, got work, got the finished piece, um, and ghosted them because they didn't like it, didn't pay for it, didn't do anything. And you think, well, why would you do that to an
Wait, so
artist?
did they have the work in their possession and then didn't pay?
It was digital.
Okay.
Um, and and it's things like that that make me like be like, money and achievements do not solve
No,
your problems.
I think they create more, honestly, than
Because it's
solve.
like, because I'm often like, that's shocking. Like what you could have paid that artist is what you probably spent on dinner tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and like, yeah. And it's, I mean, when I'm talking about wealth, I'm talking about like guys that made like 20 to 30 million dollars in like a year, like unfathomable wealth, you know? Um, and so, yeah. And it wasn't a matter, they didn't use the work, but it was just like they like wasted this person's time, and the work was done. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they used it. It's like, um,
So was there not a contract in place?
no, and that's where when working with famous people sucks, is that
You're so honored, you like are afraid to bring it up kind of thing.
part of it is you're honored, part of it is like, you got to acknowledge that there is a truth to saying like, if this goes well, maybe something much bigger happens,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're a real stickler, like that might be the thing that shuts this all down. And so I've definitely done that. And then I don't know, it's a tricky one. So when they, yeah, the person that I knew, there wasn't a contract, but you're just like, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah,
Not that you have the money to really pursue.
yeah, it's also absurd because that's the funny thing about that is that person's willing to spend 10 times that to like massage their ego, like
Mm-hmm.
in like a legal setting, And so you're just like, what are you gonna do?
Boo.
I don't mean to be a downer about it. I think that
Wah, wah.
the thing about it that I've learned is that like, and I've messaged you about this, like
Mm-hmm.
I've never met a famous person I liked. Like on no occasion. Like, and even the ones where people are like, no, they're super down to earth. It's like, it's not a good human experience. It really isn't. Maybe the famous people I'm interested in would be like people that like pull back from it so intensely that like they're like there by, they don't want to be, they don't want it. I don't know.
Celebrity seems like an overwhelming thing.
It does.
Oh, well, Terry's like, I met Justice Sotomayor, and well, of course she'd be cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me, Terry. And that's cool that you met her.
Yeah, Terry. I'm talking about idiots.
Talking about idiots.
Oh,
Scott!
whoa. Scott, you're gonna save the show, man. Oh my God. Thank God you're here.
Dude, I'm right here, man.
Seriously.
All right, Scott, Cassandra, good night. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Brutal.
No, Scott. We got Scott Anderson here. This is exciting. You're getting a little rapid.
Yay!
Maybe better late than never.
Yeah,
No, my God,
award-winning
yeah.
artist here.
We've actually been having fun. But Scott, what have you been up to? What, you coming in for a little quick scribble?
Yeah. So my son, when he has tennis practice, it's from 4 to 5, and when I'm on to take him, then the school is just close enough. It doesn't make sense to come home again,
Yeah,
So
right on.
I just go to the gym that's literally across the street and get in a workout. But
Awesome.
his tennis practice ended early today, and so I was able to. I mean, even though it's well past 5 now, I was just got home and realized, hey, you know what? There's still half an hour, and I was thinking I was just going to doom scroll for a bit, and then I remembered that Timmy said no, drawing hive comes before doom scrolling.
It
So
does.
I
That was number
It
3,
comes,
and Drawing Hive's number 1.
yeah. Can
right,
anybody guess
and
number two?
I already misplaced family ahead of drawing hive, so I thought, all
Yeah.
right, I'll give in
Yeah.
and put this ahead of doom scrolling.
Yeah, you kind of jumbled your one and two, Scott.
Yeah, I know. Where's little Johnny Boy English?
Johnny boy. His middle name is Little John. Did you know that?
I do know that. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
John had some prior engagements, a high school reunion, his
Ah,
like 70th high school reunion, I
brutal.
think.
You sure it's not the
uh,
75th?
He's gonna love hearing you describe it that way, Timmy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Oh yeah, Cassandra, I'm sure he's gonna watch the
I was
YouTube.
gonna just say because he's definitely gonna watch this.
He's
He
gonna
definitely
watch.
watches the replays. That's
He
totally John.
definitely, yeah, yeah. He goes to the playback room. He's like an NFL player. He's just watching the playback,
Watching tape.
watching tape.
Seeing how I handle this.
Yeah, that's something we don't tell the audience. We make everybody on Drawing Hive has to watch the tape on Monday. Um, Scott, what have you been up to
So
this
so
week?
what y'all been talking about?
We spent a lot of time talking about Cassandra's career, Cassandra, like a
Mhm.
lot of Cassandra. We talked a lot about comedy tonight, so we got to snip that off. That's done. I
Okay.
told a street joke.
Okay.
I laughed, but
Yeah,
Timmy doesn't accept my laugh. I'm just
it
saying, I
felt
feel
not authentic.
judged
It
by
felt
my
not
laugh.
authentic. It felt like Cassandra waited until I paused and was like, "This is when I'm supposed to laugh."
This is where courtesy laugh comes in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cassandra, this is the curse of being the nicest person on earth. You're going to have
yeah.
that suspicion that people are going to have of you.
Scott would have definitely been like, "Wait, so
Yeah, I would have been like, wait, I don't get it. It's not funny.
wait, you just told a 3 minute
Well,
joke. I'm
then
not
Timmy was
I'm
like, "Do you even
confused."
get the joke, Cassandra?" And so then I was like, "Yeah, you mean this?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah."
I felt like you were like,
That'll kill the humor of a joke when you have to dissect it like on the operating table.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
dissecting the bird kills the song, as they say.
Yeah, as they
Um,
say.
Scott, what have you been up to? What have you been working
What
on?
have I been up to?
Winning
Kind of.
awards.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
come
tell
on.
us about the awards.
We talked about this last week. I just all it is I got in. I got a piece into American Illustration.
I'm sorry. I'm in like a mental hype. I'm in like a Black Mirror loop in my mind. This is um
Well, it's
Which
so
I'm
every
very
time
honored
exciting.
about.
I've never
And
had a piece in it.
yeah. No, well,
okay,
Scott,
well, yeah, no,
congratulations.
I don't want to
Yeah.
downplay it, but we did already celebrate it at the
All right,
last
well,
episode,
Scott,
so that's
well, congratulations. It's overwhelming to
thank you,
just hear it over and
thank you.
over again. I love hearing about it.
Just can't
And
get enough.
I do, yeah.
Um,
It is
this
great.
week has been mostly working on trying to get a wayward client who will go unnamed to pay me for work
Oh,
previously. So, it's just been one of those like, okay, so, the accountant said you should be paid by today. And then I write them back tomorrow and I'm like, nope, still not there. And now supposedly it's going to be Friday. So we'll see. But so that took some energy
Is
this
it
week.
what sort of I mean, Scott, you and I've had this conversation.
I don't want to put them on blast, but it
No.
rhymes
I
with.
don't. I definitely don't. Don't do the rhymes with because I don't want to have to edit it out. No, um, I'm not
then
gonna.
the
No,
episode definitely has to go in the vault.
but yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is how do you? Because obviously it's. I mean, especially if it's like an institution, you're like you don't want to burn a bridge because like the person that's the problem could leave in 2 years and maybe everything works great after that, right? So
Sure,
like
sure. Yeah, no, and,
like
and
how do you
also like
navigate it? You know what I mean? Like
well, and it was very clear the person who was given to me as like the contact info for, who to talk to about payments still ultimately didn't have the final power. She's not like the
yeah,
comptroller or whoever who's actually releasing the checks. So I was being very, very careful to just always be super nice. And, when
yeah,
she made this final assurance, I'm taking it on face value and we'll find out tomorrow morning, but, and like made a point of, even though I know what I was doing is perfectly justified. I have a right to say, hey, can I please get paid for this job that I did a
yeah,
while ago for you guys.
Yeah,
But
no
I just,
kidding.
was like, oh, thanks for putting up with all this. And, I know this has been a hassle and everything. And she did the very correct response, which is, oh, no, it's no hassle at all. And we want to get you taken care of. And, but so, you want to
That
make sure
stinks that you have
you,
to do that.
it
Thank you.
does, but I just remind myself of like it's a lot easier. Be the person they want to help. You know what I mean? Don't
Yes,
be the
that
jerk
is
that they're
a
like,
different
how do
thing.
I get this guy out of my hair? Like that's not going to help you in the long run. So just trying to studiously, even though I have a snarky side, and all I
yeah.
want is I have to keep checking my impulse to try and make some comment that might make me feel good in the moment, but isn't going to help the situation. So,
That's a good inner voice you have there telling you that.
well, it had to be developed. It didn't come naturally, that's for sure. So,
The inner voice. That's a tough one to tell. That's a great skill to have, to tell yourself, wait, think.
Yeah, well, and tone it down, and just take it easy, and
That's a
remember,
cause and effect that you're thinking about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you just don't want to risk that person. I have no idea what the water cooler looks like at this particular magazine, but you don't want to risk this person, if I'm a jerk to her having lunch or even a meeting with the art director and saying, boy, that one guy like that you hired to do this piece, like I know we dug the piece, but man, he was a jerk to deal with about payment. He was so rude. And I mean, because that's
Mhm.
it right there, right? Like all it can
Right,
take is
even
just
though
one
you're
little
totally
mention like that.
justified.
Right. Yeah. But it's just a reminder, we're never really that justified to be rude. So you just got to make sure you stay nice and stay
I've
polite and
Good
yeah.
spoonful of sugar
job.
and all that. And so, yeah,
Um,
thanks. I was feeling a little
You,
proud of myself
you
of
took
like, okay,
the
I'm
higher
maintaining
road.
things.
That is
Yeah.
really good.
that's amazing. You should be very proud of that.
Well, thanks.
Where's the
Sincerely.
soundboard, Timmy? You should give him applause.
All right. Hold
We're gonna
on.
we're gonna give you some positive endorphins here for
Oh
doing the
man,
right
love
thing.
it. Yay me.
Yay,
There you
you.
go. There you
Being a
go.
decent human being. Let's reward that.
You know what? We need to reward a whole lot more people for being decent human beings.
That's actually a fair point.
Yeah.
So
I
put that out there.
I do
Yes.
think that it's so easy to like jump to, I don't know. I've done it. I've done it. One time somebody gave me such great advice about like a conflict, right? And I'm not saying that this is your scenario seems pretty like you had a legitimate reason to be upset and you have a legitimate reason to have conflict, and then you're just like trying to navigate how to absolve the conflict in a way that isn't like mutual, like it's not like mutual destruction, right?
You're right.
Um,
Trying not
but
to burn bridges.
exactly, because especially like in the ad world, like people change gears. Like there's gonna be a whole new team there, and there's just gonna be a
Yep.
note. There's just gonna be a note that just says,
Yeah, yeah.
"Don't hire so and so."
Do not work with. Yeah.
There's going to be no
Yep.
context at all, right?
Right.
They're not going to be like, actually, we had a terrible person working in accounting at the time and they weren't sending checks out. We had to fire them over it. It's just going to be like, they sent a nasty email to us,
Or
right?
they're
Well, and actually,
Yeah.
and to take that just as a note for anybody who's listening who might be interested in doing editorial illustration who's watching tonight, one thing to keep in mind too is that magazine art directors are one of the most nomadic professions I've ever seen in my life. Like people change jobs in that realm all the time.
Yeah.
So if you suddenly find yourself having like a falling out with an art director, that can really haunt you because they may then move on to two different publications, later on that you would love to work for, but now you're on their blacklist, right? You're on their do not hire list. So that is
Yeah.
something to watch out for. Of like, you want to keep those relationships as pleasant as you can because people do move around in that industry
Yeah.
quite a bit, at least in the
Scott,
magazine
somebody
and
asked,
publishing industry.
yeah, Juan asked, you got a stress ball or something? Yeah.
I'm doing okay. Just had to
Yeah.
keep at it with the client. So anyway,
Someone
we don't have to
says,
keep talking about that.
no, 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 but
I
somebody once
actually think
told
it's a
me,
really
yeah,
important thing to talk about.
yeah, yeah, we won't reveal, but somebody once told me like this doesn't necessarily mean it just it allows me to pause, I guess, which they said no matter how convicted you feel about a certain situation, pretend that perhaps you could be wrong. And
Excellent advice.
that is
Yeah.
always possible. That is 100% all the time, every time a possibility.
Yes.
And as long as you accept that, it's a fact that allows you to pause.
Mhm.
And I've learned I have dodged bullets by just pausing because I'm
Mhm.
like, it's the accusing someone of a crime that they're completely not guilty of, and it's and you can't undo it. It's Pandora's box. The second you do it, it's done. The second the nasty email is sent or whatever. Um, when I was like at peak using ChatGPT, I don't use ChatGPT anymore because I kind of reflected on it and I was like, dude, you like writing, I don't want to be like a Homo sapien that's like 10 years from now that's just like making grunt noises and a computer like writes out my
You're
words.
Immortan Joe in
Well, yeah, exactly. Where
Mad
I'm just like,
Max, you know? Yeah,
and then it's just like, thank you so
it's
much for
just
meeting
Jabba the
today.
Hutt being
Yeah,
kept
and I'm
alive
just
by
like, and I'm
machinery.
just, yeah, and I'm just like, and it's just like, thank you so much for emailing me today. I'm like, but no, I would draft an email where in a situation where it's delicate, right? And then I would
Mhm.
put it into ChatGPT, which I don't think you should do because it costs like something like a gallon of water every time you
I
like
know.
enter
It's like I heard
something
it's dumping
like
out a
it.
water bottle every time it gets
Yeah,
used.
so it's like yuck. But when I was doing it, I would just like enter it there and then just be like, make it nicer. So I wouldn't do it for all my emails, but I would do it like if it was like an email where I'm like, God, how do I respond to this? And then I would
Where it
write like a
matters.
really, I would write like a really nasty email and just be like, hey, ChatGPT, could you clean this up for me? And then
That
you
does
just
strike
like,
me as a good utilitarian use of it. Of, hey, make
Right,
this
because
less volatile for me.
it's still your
yeah,
notes, and you're
Yeah.
just asking basically for a proofread of niceness.
yeah, make me a kinder person. And then I just make my like grunt noises and it's like, okay, thank you, Timmy.
Hey, I've got a quick question for this is either for Cassandra or it might be for the audience. And I don't want to word this offensively at all. I truly don't know. But so Cassandra, who you're drawing right now, I
Yes,
haven't seen Black Mirror, and so
mhm.
I mean, like I know I'm drawing Will Poulter right now because I know the actor, but I don't know who that actor is that you're drawing. Who is it?
I don't know actually. I've not
You don't
watched
know?
this
Okay.
episode.
Do you know, Timmy?
Doctor
Or maybe
Who,
we can have
Doctor
somebody in the
Who,
chat tell us.
Doctor Who,
Well, yeah, which one?
Which one? Yeah, there's so many.
Peter
There's like
Capaldi,
15 of those guys.
Peter Capaldi.
Oh, it's Capaldi. Okay, all
Yeah,
right. You know, now that you say it, now I can see it. But I was just
yeah,
so thrown with
he's
the
kind of
ratty
buried.
hair and
Yeah, he's
yeah.
kind of
So
buried.
okay, gotcha. I had a feeling like knowing they get pretty big name actors for that franchise. I was like, I'm sure this is somebody, and I just can't quite figure it out.
Yeah, sorry,
So
I like don't not familiar with him.
you would draw somebody without even knowing who they are?
How dare I? Yes,
He said with mock horror.
because he's got.
Cassandra, what have you been up to this week? What are you working on?
Oh, I like I was talking about earlier. This is like I lined up a bunch of shows before my kids end their school year and go into summer. So I have
Smart.
two group shows that open this week, open tomorrow, and then I have a little mini solo for the mini museum that opens next week, and then I have like four group shows that I am painting for, um, like for June.
Man, you are busy.
Yeah, lots to get done.
That is impressive.
So this
And
is like my,
congratulations on,
hmm?
I saw you post a video on the socials where you did like a quick tour around of one of your shows, and it seemed like virtually every piece was sold. There were lots of red dots.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was really exciting. That was down in New Orleans. It made me so happy that they were happy with it. I have two pieces left, but it did really well.
That's great.
So I'm excited. The gallery's happy. We've already set up that I'll have a solo with them in 2027, so I've already got that booked.
Fantastic. See,
Yeah.
look at that. Mover and shaker. Way to go.
It always feels good to stay busy.
Now, let's talk about that for a second of so you as a mom raising two girls, youngish, right? They're what, like 10 or
They're
so?
eight.
Or am I 8? Okay. So, obviously still at an age where they want to hang out with mom a lot, they're not just like blowing you off to, go hang out with their friends or whatever.
Right.
So, how do you manage? I mean, even I know 2027 feels like an eternity ways off, but in terms of coming up with a solo show, like that doesn't to me feel like all that much time at all. Like I
Oh,
would
I have
know
another
for
solo
myself, I'd
in
already be like,
December this.
hey, okay. Okay, yeah. So, what does your work schedule look like, particularly in the summer? Like, how are you making sure you're hitting hours that are allowing you to feel like you're thriving in your creative practice, while at the same time still making sure your family is getting the proper attention that they really need?
Well, honestly, the family comes first during the summer. That's why I have so many shows lined up before school goes out that I don't get a lot of work done in the summer.
Hmm.
I just fit it in where I can. Um, like they have like a half day school thing because they're in dual immersion that they get to do. That's fun and they like it. So I will work during those hours. But yeah, summer at this age is just not, I don't get much done. So that's just one of those things that I'm kind of getting used to. And in general, it's not a big cellaring time for me either. So it's not it's not horrible, and I think it's a good way for me not to get too burnt out because I put myself on kind of a crazy work schedule with all the
Hmm.
shows. So yeah, I'm just not going to get a ton done during the summer. I'll do maybe 2 or 3 shows this summer. Um, so that keeps it pretty simple.
And when you say 2 or 3 shows, is that like having like a piece in a group show or multiple
Yeah, like a
pieces?
piece or two.
Okay.
So it's not too much versus like the 4 shows that I'm gonna paint for, like one of them is like a coaster show. So I have 4 coasters to paint, 3 pieces to paint, and I actually have an illustration I need to do too. So like it's gonna be a crazy couple weeks finishing up the school year. But then once I get through that, things calm down a whole lot. And then
Are
I'll
you able to talk about the illustration at all of what that is, or
um
is it premature?
I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it yet or not.
Okay, then don't take the risk. I
But
just thought
I'm
if it was
really
no big deal.
excited about it. It's right up my alley. It's super fun, so I can't wait to tell you all about it soon-ish.
Awesome. Well, so are you somebody who, when it comes to your workday, like when the kids are in school, are you, I'm just going to assume you are like mega disciplined. Like you just get to it, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Like
Yeah.
no goofing around, no procrastinating. It's just like it's go time.
I mean, I have my days, but yeah.
Okay. I just admire that as somebody who is like squirrel all the time. When
I
I hear of friends who can just, get in that zone so fast, I'm always like, boy,
I
I'd love
think
to
I
know what that's
would
like.
be if I didn't have so many deadlines. I think that's why I give myself the deadlines that I do because then
Mhm.
I can't let myself just sit down and not do anything.
Right.
I've got things that need to get done by a certain date, and I don't know about you, but I have a ticking clock in my head that is aware when I'm cutting it a little too close on something. So like that keeps me on
That
track.
Yes, and that ticking clock, I play with it too dangerously, all the time. I was actually listening to if anybody who's listening here hasn't heard of the podcast Illustration Department with Giuseppe Castellano. He's an art director who actually did a couple of kidlit book covers with a couple of years ago, or actually many years ago at this point. But he had Mark Burkhart on, and
Oh,
if anybody
cool.
listening
I love
isn't
his work.
familiar, yeah, Mark Burkhart is just an amazing artist on all levels, of incredible illustrator who has really created a personal voice in his work that he carries directly over to his fine art work. So if anybody looks up his stuff, you'll find in a lot of cases the illustration work and the fine art work is almost indistinguishable because he's just found this way of bringing in this kind of like heavy use of myth and mythical creatures and things like that, even into jobs for, financial
Mhm.
magazines or things like that. And he's also just a great, great, great guy. He was on the podcast, and one of the things that he mentioned that cracked me up because I'd never thought of it this way before, but he talked about how all illustrators, at least to some extent, are adrenaline junkies because of one, just the inherent risk of freelancing and like that tolerance of risk that you have to have. And so I thought, okay, that makes sense. But he also mentioned the idea that every illustration, with occasional exceptions, but very, very frequently with illustration, there can be that moment where you think, oh, well, this is the one where I get found out. This is where they're going to learn I'm a
Yes.
fraud because I don't really know how to do this one, and I'm going to like literally build the plane while I'm flying it here. And I have to tell you, it was so encouraging for me to hear that. I was like, "Oh, Mark feels that way too. He's a seasoned professional. I thought it was just me who was like stressing myself out to the very edge of a heart attack on every job. So it was interesting to hear that idea, kind of codified of like, oh yeah, like like what you were saying, taking on enough work to make it so that there's no choice except to get to it. That strikes me as a very practicing artist, not just exclusively illustrator, but a very
Any
working
kind of
artist
artist.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say Mark's full name again?
Mark Burkhart,
Cool.
Burckhart, and Mark is with a C, Marc. So yeah,
Yeah.
anybody
His work is
listening, if
great.
you're not familiar with his work, by all means, whether just go to his website, markburkhart.com, or
Yeah.
I think it's that, or
He's on
Google him,
Instagram
you'll find
too.
him. And he's on Instagram. He's very prolific on Instagram, and like I said too, a guy who I'm very proud to have gotten to know, and be able to. I don't know him super well, but we're definitely friends, and he has been a wonderful source of advice for me through the years of just somebody who's a little bit older than me, and definitely further down the road and far more acclaimed. And he's won everything that you can think
But
of
it's
awards wise.
so amazing getting to talk to people that are seasoned and ahead of you because it helps you kind of gauge like how you should be handling stuff and get
Absolutely.
foresight into situations. So that's, yeah, what a dream.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
cut in
yeah.
real quick. Everybody start posting your work. It's hashtag drawing hive, hashtag drawing hive 247. That's episode 247. We're kind of trapped in our own little black mirror here, aren't we? Cassandra and I have been uploaded to a Zoom webinar room, and they won't let us out. Um, no, I dropped it in the chat. Please post your work. It's at Visual Arts Passage. Post it now. I would definitely tag at Will Poulter, at Kristen Milioti. Their names are on the page. Um, Literally, it's literally like a toss. Like half the time, they always repost it. Not those people in general, but like the
Well,
famous
it's
people.
always surprising who responds and who like, it's fine if they
Yeah,
don't. Like they're huge, but like I didn't post his response because it was a private DM, but Patrick Schwarzenegger really liked the piece I did from White Lotus and was super nice about it.
that's so
Like
cool.
he actually wrote you about it.
Yeah, he actually wrote me. He was
It
like,
was
"That was
cool.
really well done. That's super cool.
It
Thanks
was
for doing
cool.
that."
It was like it
Oh,
was
that's
like
awesome.
it was like man, because at the same time, everybody was like the biggest monster on the White Lotus is also the coolest guy in reality, and I was like
Yeah.
his PR team is doing a full court press this week.
I thought about that of like what a dangerous role for like the first role that everybody knows you by, it to be just like the biggest douchebag on a show that's famous for douchebags, like that's it's a
Yeah, and
risky thing.
he was good at it.
Yeah, he was great.
But I
Yeah,
just
he
wanted
was
to,
he was convincing. Yeah.
I
Uh,
texted Timmy because I was like,
oh yeah,
"Hey, dude, he
I love
actually
it.
responded and he was really nice."
Terry Crews.
Oh, that's really cool. Good for him.
Terry Crews, like millions of followers, reposted a bunch of Drawing Hive stuff.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but
Well, I
um,
know he's like an artist himself, right?
oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's
yeah.
the sweetest guy
Yeah.
ever. Yeah, he did a cover
Yeah.
for I think it was The Economist or something. I don't know, but yeah, he's a lover of the game. But
Yeah.
Scott, back to what you were saying about like artists being adrenaline junkies, especially like if you're a freelancer. Um, when I was freelancing in photography, I had a big issue with anxiety around money, right? As many
Hmm.
freelancers do, and uh,
Sure.
and every month was like on the first of the month, it was like my anxiety reset, and then it was like it just built up until the 30th, right?
Hmm.
And it was and then I associated like a lot of my self-worth to like, can I pay all my bills? Am I like failing to pay people back? Am I, whatever. And I was in my like early 20s, and obviously you got to pay your bills, right? You got to pay the hard costs and stuff. But then on top of that, there were things that was just like I had this idea of like financial success and creative success that I would get down on myself like if I didn't exceed the bare minimum, right?
Mm.
And somebody told me this, and it's a very simple like very simple business practice, but they were just like, are you just like assessing your success on like in like 30-day windows? And I'd be like, yeah. And they're like, you got to do rolling 90. Like
Mm. Hmm.
rolling 90 gives you a better picture of like the trajectory of your business, meaning you aggregate like the, you know, what your financials are over a 90-day period instead of 30,
Right. Right.
and it gives you a better picture of the whole year. And it immediately resolved. Obviously, like you got to pay your rent. Like that's a
Right.
like
And
30
that's month to
days.
month. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that is a very month to month thing. But once you pass that, which hopefully you do, you know, and hopefully you can scale your lifestyle back to where you're consistently passing that. But once you pass that, I would have a lot of anxiety of like, you know, a lot of my friends had like steady lives and like they were doing like when you're in your 20s, a lot of bachelor parties, things that cost money
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
where
yeah,
you're like,
right.
how am I going to do this? Or like a wedding that they say you got to get a little special suit that matches all the other little special suits.
Hmm.
And and it wasn't until I did that that it calmed me immensely. Do you guys do that at all, or is that
Oh
too
yeah.
much work? Where you do like you do like like a zoomed out view instead of the micro.
Yeah, I mean, like I told y'all before, I keep track of the all the acceptance and rejections and
Yeah,
to see to be able to see that I've tried for a lot of cool stuff that I didn't get, but I still tried. So I don't
yeah,
regret that, but also to kind of figure out there was the percentage of acceptance like that felt good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just always think there were months where it was like I'd be like, wow, I made $2,000 this month. You know, that's
Yeah,
not
no, I mean, listen,
that's not
freelancing is not for the
enough.
faint of
You know
heart.
what I mean?
There's no question.
No.
It's stressful.
And fine arts can feel like a bit of a gamble.
I think that
Right.
it adds an extra sting to it because so much of it is also a type. When people start saying like to really succeed in this, it has to you have to encapsulate your voice, and then when you fail at it, it's not like it's not a matter of you failed because of the marketplace. It's not a matter of you failed because of the industry or whatever. It's my voice wasn't good enough, and it's just
Well,
like oh,
also,
I'm being hyperbolic. I don't think that that is why people fail, but I'm just saying it's hard to separate that,
well,
right?
also like I think there's a maturity in art when you can come to the realization too that there are seasons. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
your art could be great, but you could have a bit of a low and it just is a little rougher for a bit. And just being mature enough to just ride through it and keep working and keep developing
yeah,
and like and then you start to crest a new wave. And I think that that's also normal for an art career. It doesn't just stay, you're still getting
yeah.
good work, but what you're getting is going to slightly shift and change too.
Oh, somebody, and I should correct this. Somebody said, "Wait, I'm supposed to make over $2,000 a month." That sounded like a flex. It's not. I had overhead that illustrators do not have. I had a loan on a camera. I had a photo studio I was having to pay for. I had all of these things. So $2,000 was it's a there's a different overhead. So I
Well, I
think
mean,
I don't
also
want
just
people to
speaking
think,
like in pure market terms
yeah,
for where the market is right now, right?
yeah,
2000 a month would be 24 grand, and freelancers have to pay their own self-employment taxes. So,
yeah,
with no disrespect to anybody who's like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be making 2000 a month off my, my
yeah,
art or whatever. Hey, I hear, like it takes a while to build things. And so I want to say this with
Mhm.
all sympathy, but I
yeah.
mean, my hope would be for everybody that we're all aspiring for more than that. That's not a living wage, and we should be all hopefully shooting for
Right.
at least a living
Yeah.
wage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember being like, I'm gonna have bad credit soon. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like 22. You know, you're like, this isn't a good way to start off credit. Or maybe it is.
And then you
Maybe,
get wait,
yeah.
and then what you guys don't realize is the part he's not mentioning is then he founded Drawing Hive,
Yeah.
and now it's all Porsches and trips to Monaco.
Mostly just Monaco, you know. And then when John's not using the Visual Arts Passage yacht, I get to use that. That's always nice.
Right, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's only a couple weekends a year, but at least you do get it. So,
I was still
Yeah.
waiting for my turn with the yacht.
Do you guys have any idea how much we have to spend monthly for the yacht to have reliable internet for John?
oh, it's criminal.
It's criminal. Do you guys want to see some art?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Love it. Good stuff. Nice. First time. Thanks for
All
joining.
right. Welcome. That was a great job. Oh, I love
Oh,
these.
look at that. Is that on a post-it note?
Yeah,
It
he does these
is.
cool post-it
It
note
looks
ones.
small. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Great
wow.
job,
Nice,
Jillian.
Julian. That's got some great atmosphere.
Oh, that's so
Oh
cool.
man.
Peter.
Yeah, you
Love
just
it.
know it's her instantly. Great.
Dang, that's good. That's real good. Great drawing. Good
Nice.
likeness.
That's great.
Oh, that's
I
so
love the
fun
hunch
one.
there. Yeah.
Yes. Good job. Ooh, that's cool,
Nice,
Alberto.
Alberto.
Oh, that's
Nice.
great.
Oh man, look at that. Wow,
That's
that's
really
great.
cool. Oh, those are fantastic.
Got all four done.
Great job. Great line work. Nice, Sander.
Nice, Sander.
That's
I
awesome.
love how you handled the stubble.
That's a fantastic. That is a fantastic drawing.
Yeah, that's great. Oh
Ooh,
man.
Robert. So good.
Robert always doing that Drew Struzan thing. So amazing.
Yeah, totally.
You know what, I'll say this: the Paul Giamatti episode of Black Mirror from this season, it's safe. It's not a dreadful episode. It's heartbreaking though, but it's beautiful. Recommend it.
Ooh,
So
Jason, that's amazing.
I have a quick confession to make in between things
Yeah.
here. Nice work, Karen.
Beautiful.
I have never seen an episode of Black Mirror. Not one.
Do you like Dread?
I'll
Do you
show
enjoy
myself out.
You like
do you
dread.
do you enjoy Dread?
um,
Yeah.
I've been told I am part of the target audience for the show, so I have no good reason other than the fact that there's a million streaming series out there, and I'm slowly trying
Oh,
to,
hell yeah,
make my way
Scott.
through them all.
Scott, you
So
know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you my top 5. That way you can just pick. You can just pick. It's
that would honestly that would make it less intimidating. So yeah, do that
it's
by
the
all means.
Twilight. It's the Twilight Zone, man. It's all
Yeah.
about
Right, exactly. I don't know that
it's
I
a
need to be a completist. I just want to see the good
no,
ones.
no.
They're all
Just
standalone, so
just
that's a
go
good idea.
buffet style.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Give me the best
Nice.
buffet. I'll
Ooh,
check it out.
Yeah,
Randy, I love it.
Oh yeah, that's great,
That's
good
Randy.
stuff.
cool. Oh, that's
Oh, nice.
cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Peter.
Dang, Peter, you got a lot
Nice,
done and
Pete.
they're good.
Nice.
Gary, that's
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, Gary always brings it.
Oh,
Oh wow, I love that
gorgeous.
smooth tone. That's great.
Always so
That's
good.
great. Randy.
You got
Nice.
so much done, man. Amazing.
Nice stuff. Nice.
Really nice. Good expression. So fun. Yeah,
Love
how
it.
can you resist drawing him? So fun. Great job. Really nice.
Wow.
I love
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
that's
nice and
okay.
graphic. That's great.
This is brilliant for this episode. Brilliant. That is a brilliant take on that episode. That is great. Yeah.
Great job, Aisha. I love it.
I always try to kind of lightly keep track of like which reference is the winner for the night, like which one people are
Uh-huh.
most drawn to. It's
What
feeling like Capaldi's in the lead, but
you
Yeah.
think? I was gonna think, yeah. Oh, I think Capaldi's in the lead. I
look
was
at
gonna
that.
say Giamatti maybe,
AJ,
but
I was
yeah.
hoping you would take on this one. I knew you'd get it. Good atmosphericness to it. Is
Okay, cool. We got some
atmosphericness a
here.
word?
Sure.
I don't know, man. I just feel like every time I keep looking up, I'm
Rebecca.
seeing Capaldi.
Great
You're
job,
right.
Rebecca.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Oof,
It's
boy, look at
Capaldi.
the energy in that. That's great.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow. That is the depth that you got in the hood.
no
Really
kidding.
nice.
Will Poulter.
Great job, Karen.
Such a
Again, you got a
heartthrob.
lot done.
Went from being such a dork to being such a heartthrob. It's incredible. Yeah.
Great
Good stuff.
job.
That
Nice.
Really nice.
Christine Milioti, that
Yep.
actress Christine Milioti, I don't know if
Yep.
I'm going to be able to see her and believe her if she's ever in a role now without like a heavy like Brooklyn accent after what she had in The Penguin. I don't know if that's a Brooklyn accent, but like
Oh, it's
whatever her
funny.
New York / Italian accent was,
Yeah.
like I'm just going to always hear that, whenever I see her.
It's funny you
Great
say that because
job.
I thought you were going to say The Sopranos. And I'm just like, is she just going to live forever? Because she was like, she played a 25-year-old in The Sopranos. It's like, what?
Did she? I don't even remember her from
Really
that.
good
That's
drawing.
weird.
Yeah,
Wow,
she
wait,
was
that
in.
was Felicity. Gosh.
What, Felicity?
Oh
What?
yeah. Look at
That's
that.
so
Nice work.
cool.
Here we
Rebecca, I
go.
really liked yours too. Your guys is paired well tonight.
I gave
Super
it the
fun.
low.
Great
Nice
job.
stuff.
Yeah. Look at all these great
Good.
qualities.
Can't resist it. Oh, Terry.
Yeah.
I love this
Yeah.
one.
We're
You did
just in a
so good.
we're just in a Capaldi ocean right now.
So good.
Just
Good
let
job.
Capaldi wash over you, Scott.
Oh, Crow, I love it.
I am.
Great job.
Nice stuff,
Good
people.
expression. Ooh, really nice.
Wow, look at
He got his grizzledness.
God, Xander,
that.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it,
That's
Xander.
That's
good.
great,
You
Xander.
never
Look at
disappoint.
those shapes.
Ah, love
Awesome.
it. Nice, Karen.
Good stuff. Love it.
Great
Christine
job.
Miliani.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, y'all brought it tonight. We bring it every night. What am I talking about? Great
I
job.
know.
Oh, that's so fun, Terry.
Awesome.
Yeah, your palette is awesome.
Whoa.
Love it, Jeff. Great job.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Capaldi.
so fun,
You're right,
Valerie.
Scott.
That's yeah.
Capaldi swept the floor. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, right?
It's got so much drama. It's so fun. Oh, those are great,
That's
Nicole.
awesome.
those are great.
Those are really fun. Yeah, right?
Ooh,
Nice. Why don't we
love
flip
it,
them?
Nice.
Crow.
Nice.
Ooh, that's a great drawing.
Yeah, good likeness.
Nice structure to the armor.
Hmm.
Good stuff.
Really nice. Ooh,
Love
man,
it.
Terry.
Nice, Terry.
Good.
Add it to the
Jeff,
book. Nice, Jeff.
fantastic.
Good stuff.
Oh, you got a lot done too. I mean, you always do.
Oh
Great
my
job.
gosh.
So nice. So
Nice.
good.
Love it.
Look how wet that is. It's just like ink. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
cool.
man. You see the gleam on it. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that wild? I love
That's
that
nice.
one. That's awesome.
Really nice.
Killer Will Poulter. Amazing.
Dang, Terry, you got so much done. That is awesome.
Love it.
Really nice. Oh, I love it.
What a good one to end on, Jeff.
Great one to end one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give another tonight. This was a fun night, everybody. Scott, I'm gonna send a cape to you in the mail because you deserve it first.
Yes, Scott, I'm so glad you came.
So
Thank
glad you
you.
came. What a fun
Well,
night,
look at all
everybody.
that nice work that we just saw, and people still participating. I think it's proof that we just need the two of you, and we don't really even need John or anybody else. It's just you two are really all that's needed.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let that go to my head at all tonight, Scott.
And Scott, I want to say you worked super fast. I'm
I'll
impressed with
text.
how far you got.
Scott. I'll start a group
Thank you.
text.
Going black and white was the way.
Group text Scott, me, and John, and it'll say, "We don't need you anymore, John."
No, no.
No, I'm just teasing everybody. Join us next week. We'll come up with a theme. If you're not in the Discord group, please join it. It's a really fun space. Share your work all week. We'll post the next theme on Monday. You can always message if you got a good idea for it. Scott, Cassandra, love you guys. Have a nice night.
You too,
Night.
man.
Have a great
Good,
week.
good to hang out. See
Always
you
a
guys.
joy.